Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. We have another video that we're uploading. Wow, would you look at that? You surprised? I know I am. Actually, that's a lie. I'm not really surprised at all because I know that we're going to be getting more and more information on this potential severe weather event that will be happening not only this weekend, but the mid part of next weekend. A potential severe weather outbreak could be unfolding. And so we're going to try and get you guys as much information beforehand, before it happens, so that you guys can plan accordingly. Rather be safe than sorry. But if you do want the best information, please go to the National Weather Service or the Storm Prediction Center for more information. They probably have the best information on outlooks in that regard. That's basically what I'm going to be showing you here. I'm also going to show you models and stuff like that as to why I think things are going to be the way they are. But please refer to them for the best information. And it's up to you guys to stay weather aware. We could say as much as we want, but without, your judgment, it could determine between what could happen, what doesn't happen. So that's the big thing there. If you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with friends and family, yada yada. You don't want to hear me self-promote. Let's get straight into the video. Let's get straight into the video here with the satellite imagery that we have right in front of us. A couple things that I want to note. First off, we were talking about a couple low pressure systems yesterday. We have one that's over here in the Ozarks that's currently creating some severe weather over here in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. They have indeed increased the threshold for severe weather over there, as I had predicted yesterday. We also have our remnant of our low pressure system that was wreaking havoc over in Arizona. We remember how there was a lot of large hail damaging winds that were basically creating some impacts over there near Phoenix, maybe north, south, east, west of that. All over basically the state of Arizona. That low pressure system has kind of deteriorated now due to the fact that there is a lot of strong wind shear. You might be able to tell with how fast these clouds are moving, but a lot of strong wind shear has basically displaced it and has sheared it out, mainly because of this huge boundary that's creating the strong wind shear from the low pressure system, the third low pressure system that we talked about yesterday, that has now made landfall somewhere over near British Columbia. So a couple things there to note. Otherwise, we have our subtropical jet that is right here, consistently creating some general steering flow, some wind here that's been pushing across and about, even through into the Atlantic. So something to monitor there with all of that as well. Now, if we go to the water vapor imagery, this tells us a little bit better as to what I was just saying. We have our low pressure system right here creating your severe weather system with a little bit of a dry line set up. A lot of this dry air moving in behind this system, behind all these showers and thunderstorms, creating a spotty hail and some damaging winds, as well as the threat for tornadoes. Whenever you're near a low pressure system, that typically gives you the green light for a tornadic setup as well. So just something to note there, that there could potentially be some tornadoes within the setup. Even if there's a low pressure system in the future, always could produce tornadoes. Even hurricanes can produce tornadoes. So one thing to note with that. A lot of this dark colors is dry air. A lot of these lighter colors is moist air. So whenever you see the water vapor imagery here in the future, well, probably not in the future of this video, but the future videos that I do, then you'll be able to tell what exactly you are looking at. You also have your very strong wind shear. You can see all these clouds and all this moisture now just zoom across, and big nod over to that huge boundary that is being extended from that low pressure system. And eventually at the southern part of this boundary, all the way down here somewhere, there'll be a low pressure system that'll form somewhere along the boundary, I should say. There will be a low pressure that will form, and yeah, that'll basically kick off our severe weather event. So let's get straight into that in that regard. Let's go to the Storm Prediction Center and show you guys the outlook for today. And we indeed have noticed that they have increased the threshold. They have now a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale indicated in that yellow. So if you're in the yellow, Birmingham, Huntsville, Chattanooga, Murfreesboro, Decatur, really need to watch out for the severe weather setup. Could have the potential of some tornadoes and some strong damaging winds. Spotty hail cannot be ruled out. There is a risk for it, but it's not as high as the damaging winds and tornadoes. And then you also have the 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale indicated in the dark green as well, which extends as far north as the Ohio River Valley and as far south as I'd say Columbus, Georgia, somewhere around that general area. Now, if you're in this light green, all right, this doesn't mean that you can't get severe weather, but just know that it's very unlikely. This is just a general thunderstorm risk for the most part. So just something to keep in mind with that. One last thing before I continue here is that above me is a nice little scale here that tells you all the different probabilities. So if you have a 1 out of 5 or a marginal, the dark green, it shows you the probabilities of what a tornado could be, wind, hail. So 2% for tornado, 5% for wind, 5% for hail if it's a marginal, and then it goes all the way down and down with the percentages and all sorts of stuff like that. So just a thing to note there. If you're wondering what the heck that is, just know it's that. Let's go over to the hail. As I said, not a huge risk. 5% is indicated in the brown, so 5% chance within a 25-mile radius. You guys could see 1-inch size hail or larger. Here's your wind risk. Your yellow risk is your 15% chance. As I said, 5% is brown. So whatever probability you have, that is your chance of seeing 58-mile-per-hour winds within a 25-mile radius. Maybe even higher than 58-mile-per-hour winds. So just be on the lookout for that. Could potentially see some strong damaging winds within your area. And then there's your tornado risk right there. 2% chance for tornadoes indicated in green, 5% indicated in brown. So if you live within those areas, you have that chance of seeing a tornado within a 25-mile radius. So really have to watch out for that. Specifically, Birmingham, Huntsville, Chattanooga, Decatur, Vestavia Hills area in Alabama. Really need to watch out for that. Okay, let's move on to tomorrow. This is October 7th, 2021, Thursday. We have a general thunderstorm risk, but I would not be surprised if we saw severe weather risk somewhere right within here. Would not be surprised. 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, would not be surprised. So Ohio River Valley, in my opinion, you guys still need to watch out for tomorrow. The potential for some severe weather is definitely possible. Let's go on to Friday. Friday here, we have a little bit of a risk up in the Dakotas as well as Minnesota. Look at this. 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale over here for places like Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks, Minot, Moorhead, Minnesota. Would not be surprised if you guys got that activity. So really need to watch out for that as this continues to move about. And then what really is the reason why we are making this video here is what's happening past the first 3 days. This right here is the day 5 outlook for Sunday, October 10th, 2021, right here. 15% chance for severe weather right here. Eastern portions of Oklahoma, northeastern portions of Texas. That does include areas near Dallas-Fort Worth. Along the border of Oklahoma and Arkansas, so Fort Smith, Joplin, areas near Wichita. You guys could potentially see some severe weather on Sunday. So watch out for that. Definitely could see some activity there. I will get you guys more information on Friday because that's when the information is actually going to be coming out. So please stay tuned to all of that as well. And then we also have one other day here. And look at this. This is day 7. Looks a little different from day 5. So if I move back down here a little bit, here's the day 5 outlook. Here's the day 7 outlook. Moves a little bit further off towards the west. But this is on Tuesday. Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. This includes areas like Dallas-Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Kansas. Would not be surprised if you guys got some activity, and I would not even be surprised if it gets extended a bit further towards the north and even to the south. So gotta watch out for this. Of course, this is subject to change. You could, as I said, move into all sorts of different areas depending upon the timing of what happens. But 15% chance of some severe weather within your general area. Need to watch out for that. All right, last thing here is the model guidance. We're going to take a look at why they think this is the case, because we always want to talk about the why. It's a little bit easier to understand for us to basically get out our points of view to people who might think, oh, this is ludicrous. This can't happen. There's no way severe weather, you can predict the weather 5 or 7 days out ahead of time. Well, here's what we know for the most part. We're going to go over the weather bell models, and we're going to show you the wind shear to begin with. And we're going to go back to the beginning here, all right, because I did, believe it or not, a take prior to this, and then I got interrupted, so that was fun. I had to redo it all, because we always do it in one take. We won't edit our stuff until later on in our YouTube career, but for right now, don't have time for that, and so this is exactly what we are going to talk about. Couple things here before I talk about the wind shear is that this is at the 500 millibar level. This is the mid to upper level portions of the atmosphere. And if you do want to take a look at the time, it's right above me. It says it right there in Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're in Central Daylight Time, I apologize, but you're just going to have to bear with me. The other thing is that above that is the convective outlook with the radar and the current watches and warnings and stuff like that. So that red box that keeps flashing off on your screen, that's a tornado watch. Just got issued within the past hour. Did not know this, but you know what? Now I do. If you're in that tornado watch, and if you are in a tornado warning, get underground or get into the lowest innermost part of your building, particularly a bathroom or a closet with no windows, so you can put as many walls between yourself and the tornadic rotation as possible. And that goes for even in the future too. If you're in a tornado warning in the future, take that advice and take it to heart. Okay, wind shear. Let's talk about it. Couple things that I want to mention. There's a low pressure system that we've been talking about, caused that tornado watch right above us. Here is our low pressure system. It has created a bit of wind shear right within here. So low pressure systems tend to cause wind shear. High pressure systems, on the other hand, tend to not do so. But they tend to steer low pressure systems in all sorts of different directions. So just keep that in mind for the most part. But low pressure systems spin in a counterclockwise fashion right here. It's created your severe weather setup, which just so happened to be over here in this instance, near Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, and even in Alabama, as well as Kentucky. So just watch out for that for the most part in the future when we have low pressure systems that move on through. All right, so here's our low pressure system. It'll move on through as it continues to move over time. We have a new low pressure system that forms at the end of this boundary. You can see a little bit of the remnants of the low pressure system that moved on through in British Columbia that we were talking about yesterday, but it ended up creating this huge boundary right here that is just basically elongated into one giant line. So we have the potential of another low pressure system to form right within there. We have a high pressure system which could begin to form here near Baja California and Mexico, and this will continue to progress over towards the central plains, southern central plains, I should say, more or less, as time moves along. So let's watch how this progresses here together. This is on Thursday morning, heading off into Friday morning. The low pressure system now moves off over California and into the Rockies. So you have one low pressure system that moves over there. It now starts to move off into the Dakotas, and you have a new low pressure system that forms off of its boundary a little bit further to its south. Now, here's another thing that I want to mention too, all right? We have one low pressure system right here, as we mentioned, a new one that forms right here, but the reason why this is so significant and why this could be creating severe weather for Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is because we also have the addition of the subtropical jet. We mentioned it earlier in our satellite analysis, and our subtropical jet is giving a little bit of an extra kick to this low pressure system, adding extra wind shear, making this a little bit stronger than it originally was. So this will create some severe weather somewhere over here in this general vicinity as time moves along. And on Saturday, even with this other low pressure system, it still has some wind shear. So areas over here in the Dakotas and Minnesota, would not be surprised if you guys had some severe weather as well. So basically what I'm saying is this entire area right here will get severe weather most likely. Most likely we'll get severe weather at some point. May not get, a severe thunderstorm warning, but we'll get some action from this setup as this continues to move about. So as this continues to move on through, you can see the low pressure system, how it starts to curl itself around, curl into a circle. Look at this. Now starts to really get into the grill of Sunday. Look at this. 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Sunday. Severe weather right within here. Usually happens right in front of the low pressure system, somewhere due east of the center of the low pressure. Right within there is where we can expect this to occur. So somewhere probably right within here, somewhere right within there, that's where the severe weather is going to be. All right. Now, it is subject to change. Models can change. They can move a little bit further to the west, east, north, south. You know, this is all obviously subject to change. So as of right now, according to this model run, that's where it's going to be. All right. But for right now, there has been a lot of consistency, not just with this model and its opinions, but other models and their opinions too. And so we could potentially be getting more and more activity that will basically be consistent and allow us to get the information out sooner than, you know, just the day of. So big thing there is that we have one low pressure system right there. It's going to continue to move about, create your severe weather. And that is what is going to be the high likelihood for Sunday. Now let's go over to the moisture setup over here. We're going to go over to the dew points, and we're going to go off to Saturday and into Sunday. And look at this. A lot of moisture over here in places like the Gulf of Mexico. And that moisture is basically waiting to be freed. We have some of that moisture that has already leaked out into portions of the Dakotas and even into the Midwest. But for the most part, this moisture is kind of just sitting here in the Gulf of Mexico. And what happens here over time is that moisture ends up, you know, getting released into that general area. Look at that. Huge amount of moisture that just goes up further and further towards the north. We have a dry line setup that ends up forming right within here, which just basically means that we have a lot of dry air forming a giant line, and that ends up creating a lot of strong damaging winds, large hail, potentially even tornadoes, but that would be a little bit further off towards the north, somewhere right within there, near the triple point, and that's just basically a classic severe weather setup. But this severe weather setup is not as significant because dew points are not consistently above 60 degrees. We have some areas that are actually below that with a little bit of this blue tint within the yellow. So you can see down here at the bottom part of your screen, there is a little scale right within there that tells you what each color means with the specific dew point. And if you look really closely here, right within this general area, there's not really consistently a lot of yellows and oranges right along that dry line setup. You have some over here, which is near the triple point, which means that there could potentially be a tornado event over there. But consistently along that line, not the case. So there will be most likely a severe weather setup, but it's not going to be a very strong severe weather setup within this setup. I said setup twice. Within this area, unless if things dramatically change. So that's the big thing there to notice as this continues to progress. Now, if we go back to the wind shear here, and we'll progress it on through. So now it's on Monday, that low pressure system moves on through, and we have a new low pressure system that forms over near, just a little bit further to the west of the Rockies. And this one is a lot more significant, Look at the wind shear values on that. If you want to take a look at the graph at the bottom that tells you what colors mean to what, it's in knots, and the strongest I see on here, if you take a look at the bottom right-hand corner of that, which is just literally right there, it says max 111.4. That's somewhere around the range of 125 to 130 miles per hour. That's how strong the wind is, about 6 kilometers up in the sky. That's pretty strong. So that will translate, and when you have stronger wind shear, that typically means you have stronger storms, potentially even stronger tornadoes. So if this keeps up, if this opinion is true, all right, which we're pretty far out, so it is subject to change. This one is 100% guaranteed subject to change, but not significant subject to change to the point where the low pressure system just disappears, all right? This could potentially be a severe weather outbreak, and we need to watch out for this as this continues to progress further and further. Heck, look at this over here. This is on Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning. So Tuesday morning, or Tuesday evening, I should say, into Wednesday morning. Very strong setup here for severe weather in moving on through. And this is, I should say, actually, if I move it up just a tiny smidge. So let's do that here. move it on through. This is Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. Look at how strong this wind shear is. Very significant amounts of wind shear that's surging on through here. And I would not be surprised if we had a very strong setup of supercells. Strong storms is basically what supercells mean. And supercells can form tornadoes, maybe even strong tornadoes. Would not be surprised if that is the case. So really need to watch out for that as this continues to progress. So the big question here that is still have yet to be answered, all right? Which we will answer for you on Friday. So if you stay tuned to the channel, as I said, subscribe, turn on notifications, all sorts of stuff like that. We'll go to my face here to talk to you about it. I have my little Reese's things over here, so I probably should move that over to the side. Things that still have to be answered. Where specifically this will go. All right, so what time will it move over Oklahoma City? What time will it move over Dallas-Fort Worth? What time will it move over Wichita, Kansas? What time will storms move over the Dakotas? That still has yet to be answered, and we will get you guys most of that information for Saturday and Sunday's events on Friday. Now, if you want to know about the weather event for Tuesday and Wednesday, I highly recommend tuning on Sunday. Probably I will upload a video early morning on Sunday, and if the event on Sunday, the actual severe weather event, gets bad enough, then I will most likely live stream it here on this channel. So if you want to stay up to date with whether or not there's tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings within your area, I will update you guys, keep you guys up to date as to what those storms actually are doing, where the actual, large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes will be within those storms, and I will kind of keep you guys up to date, be here, and try and help you guys out as much as possible. So those are the questions that have yet to be answered, as well as how strong this actual setup will be. We still have a little bit of leniency, a little bit of time between now and then until this will actually unfold. So we really need to watch out as to how the models portray this event, and if it's worse, then we will actually know how the event will actually unfold that way. If it's not as good, I will tell you that as well. But the big thing there is that how strong, when, and where. We have a general area as to when. We have a general area as to where, but it's not specifics yet. So we'll get you the specific answers if you stay tuned to the channel. That's going to be it for me, guys. If you did enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because I do upload videos every now and then. It's not on a consistent basis because I'm trying to survive through college. But if you guys are willing to stick around, I will continue to get you guys more and more information. I will try and even show you guys my point of view as to what all is happening with these storms, how this setup will continue to portray, and even maybe, share my passion of weather with you all as this continues to move on through. That sounds pretty weird, doesn't it? Share my passion of weather. I guarantee you won't hear that out in the public. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. So peace out, everyone.